Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about greatest common factor. And a factor, just remember a factor is things that can be multiplied together to get a number. And so the greatest common factor, we're going to be looking at a pair of numbers and trying to find the biggest number that they have in common as a factor. So what we're going to be doing is just listing out all the factors for each number and then going through and seeing which one is the greatest that they have in common. So we're going to look at first 24 and 48. So I'm just going to start listing out the factors, and the way I like to do it is to just start with 1 and kind of work my way up. So I'm going to start with we know all numbers can be multiplied by 1 and itself, or you can multiply 1 and that number to get the number. So I'm going to start with 1 and 24, and I'm just going to leave a big space in between to add other factors. And then I know 2 is also a factor. 2 and 12 can be multiplied to get 24. I can also do 3 and 8. And then 4 and 6. And then I know the only number left in between here is 5, and I can't divide it by 5, so that means I'm done. And those are all my factors. So now moving on to 48, I'm going to do the same thing. 1 and 48. I can multiply 2 and 24. And then we have 3 and 16. And if you weren't sure if it was divisible by 3 or not, you could either try doing some division or with a calculator if you're allowed to use one. And then we have 4 and 12. And then I can't divide it by 5. And then we have 6 and 8. And I have no more room left, which is good because I'm done. And the only number left between 6 and 8 is 7, and it's not divisible by 7, so that means I'm done. So now I'm just going to start from this side, work my way back, and see which number is the greatest that they have in common. So you can see they have a lot of numbers in common, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all factors for both these. 6, 8, 12. They actually have a lot in common. But the greatest number that they have in common, you can see, is 24. So that is the greatest common factor of 24 and 48. All right, so let's move on to our second one. We have 35 and 21 this time. So I'm going to do the same thing, start with 1 and 35. And then I can't divide it by 2 because it's not even. I'm going to move to 3, and it's not divisible by 3 either. It is not divisible by 4, but it is divisible by 5. So I know I have 5 and 7. And then the only number between 5 and 7 is 6, and it's not divisible by 6 either, so that means I'm done. So these are my only factors for 35. Then I'm going to go to 21. So we're going to do 1 and 21. Can't divide it by 2, but I can divide it by 3. So I have 3 and 7. And can't divide it by 4 or 5 or 6. And then the next number up is 7, and I already have 7. So that means I'm done with this one, and this one also only has 4 factors. So same thing, I'm going to look starting from this side and see which number is the greatest that they have in common. And I see that they both have 7s in common, and that is the greatest number that is the same. So that is going to be my greatest common factor for those two. All right, that's it. And now I have to keep going on my other side.